If you're someone that feels like you're on autopilot all the time, you're someone who feels like you're just constantly not paying attention to when you're eating, or overeating, or undereating, or just being not really tuning into the way foods make you feel, or anything along those lines, then this video is going to be for you. So the number one tip that I have for you is to do a simple Google search on the hunger scale, and there's a million different things out there, so many different descriptions, but it's trying to figure out what number that is for you during different stages of hunger. So for me, on different stages of hunger, maybe on 1, the level 2, 3, my stomach growling. For other people, they may not feel that. They may just feel lightheaded or something else along those lines. So figuring out where you are on the hunger scale is the number one tip that I have for you. And by doing this, it's figuring out and writing down on a daily basis before you eat each meal where you are on the hunger scale. Think about halfway through, where are you at that point in time? After you finish eating, where are you then? And it's always best to hit about the 80% and then stop there, because it takes a lot longer for your body or your mind to recognize that your body's full. And a lot of times you may be full and you don't even recognize it. Part of being more mindful when you're eating is also tuning into why you're eating. Asking yourself, am I actually hungry right now? What am I feeling right now? Am I possibly emotionally eating right now? What type of foods I'm choosing? A lot of these is just being more mindful and aware of what's going on with yourself. So the best thing is to start experimenting and starting to recognize at what point in time do you hit that level where you're famished and you overeat. Because I know we all get to that place where we're starving. We're like, oh my God, I'm going to eat my arm right now. And then you end up overeating, or you're just like, you just get to a point when you can't stop because you're so hungry. You're just like ravenous and you're just ready to like chew everything possible. So getting to that place where you understand that you don't want to let yourself get to that level. And maybe for you at that point in time, it's to have a little bit of something before you get to that point, before your next meal or before you go out to dinner or something along the lines of that. Second tip that I have for you, which is kind of scary, is allow yourself to get hungry. I know we're always scared to get hungry, especially if you come from a place where you've been dieting for long periods of time, where maybe you're restricted, or maybe you've come from a place where you emotionally eat, and so you're scared that if you just allow yourself to get hungry, that's going to create this crazy monster, this gremlin that's going to come out and eat everything in sight. But until you really understand what your hunger looks like, how you feel about being hungry, what type of response your body has when you're hungry, and then how you eat and how much you eat when you are hungry, you're really going to need to tune into what hungerness feels like for you. In the past, I literally was so scared to be hungry, and I thought there was going to be something that happened to me if I allowed myself to get hungry, that I wouldn't be able to stop eating. Or if I knew that I was going out to dinner, like I would need to make sure I ate something ahead of time. Or maybe it was something like I was so scared to eat sweets or something like that when I was really hungry, because I would eat everything in sight and I wouldn't be able to stop it. But it's not the case. If you allow yourself to do this and you do it repeatedly, repetitively, you're going to get to a place where you can be more mindful, where you're going to stop when you're hungry, that you're not going to enjoy that feeling of being stuffed, and you're not going to enjoy that, and you're know that you're going to get your next meal, and then you know that you're allowed to eat, and you know that this is what your body responds to when you're hungry or when you're full. So the third tip that I have is to start experimenting with things, and don't be scared, because you know what? You're going to fail, because you're going to overeat sometimes. You're going to not allow yourself to eat as much as you want, and you're also just going to maybe eat all of the things that you feel like are the wrong thing. This is going to happen. This is part of the process. This is starting to tune in and becoming aware of what makes you feel good and how to satisfy yourself. Because if you're feeling like super stuffed after you eat, this isn't going to give you the best energy. You're probably going to feel run down. If you're going to carbs or something along those lines, and only in feeling like you're emotionally eating, this is going to be a point in time that you're going to probably not feel the greatest after you eat, or maybe you feel like guilty after you eat. And just tuning into all of these feelings and experimenting with foods. Maybe it's protein, making sure that you have a protein out of every meal, and feeling satisfied and full. And what foods make you feel full? What foods make you feel like crap? Because we all know there's certain foods out there that do not agree with us, or even if they taste great, they don't agree with us. And knowing that you can do a little bit, maybe I can have 2 or 3 cookies right before bed, but when I go to 5 or 6, that I don't feel the greatest and I don't sleep as well. So just tuning in and becoming more aware of what foods make you feel great, what foods make you feel like shit. Also what foods give you energy, what foods make you feel sleepy, what foods make you feel like, gassy or bloated or just generally don't feel the greatest, then maybe it's trying to figure out how to remove some of those foods from your diet or decreasing these foods in your diet. So just becoming mindful and aware of all aspects, not just of being hungry all the time, but just the way you feel on these foods. This goes also with working out. Do you feel better when you have, heavier foods before you work out? Or most people don't feel the greatest when you do that. Do you feel stronger in the gym or running or whatever it is for you if you eat certain foods? Maybe it's a cup of coffee and that feels really great, and then you have like a banana or something along with it. Maybe you can have oatmeal before you work out. It's tuning into what works for you, not anybody else. Don't go by the strict guidelines of like no fats before you work out, or you need to have protein right after you eat. Yes, these are great guidelines, but they don't always work for some people. Some people actually feel better with a little bit of fat before they work out, and they feel like they can exercise longer, or they feel stronger in the gym. So just knowing your own body, acting like it's an experiment, acting like a scientist is going to be helpful in trying to becoming a more mindful eater. So just another thing I want to throw out there, I talk a lot about tracking macros, and you can become a mindful eater when you're tracking macros and monitoring the foods that you eat. It's just becoming more aware of the foods that feel good. Maybe you're eating more volume foods if you're someone who's focusing on a fat loss goal, or if you're someone that's building muscle, maybe you decrease the amount of volume foods and you're focusing on eating more so you can get stronger and build some more muscle and you're in a little bit of a surplus. Or maybe it's just a matter of knowing exactly what foods you should be having throughout the day. So in the morning you're eating, a lot more carb dense foods, and then in the evening you're eating a little bit less. You can also be tracking and becoming a little bit more mindful. I did the two together and it was very helpful. It was a stepping stone for me to become more mindful, aware of portion sizes, and then move on to more intuitive eating and more instinctual eating where I was listening to my body and being more mindful. As always, you can find me on Instagram at Kimberly Rose Platt, and I'd love to hear from you. So if you feel like you have any other tips for becoming a more mindful eater, make sure to leave them in the comments.